Autism is an inborn lifelong disability that affects different people in different ways. While some of us can be diagnosed autistic, sometimes the signs aren't obvious right away or they aren't understood, so therefore sometimes with many of us we will be misdiagnosed at a later date of our stages of life. This may mean basically also for some autistic people will go undiagnosed as mentioned until their adolescence or adulthood. If you've often felt different but never understood why, it's possible that you could be on the autism spectrum. Welcome back, chameleons. This video is about how to recognize autism in yourself, continuing on episode 3 of the diagnosis versus self-diagnosis series that I'm hoping to address you all. So hopefully in that you'll gain a better understanding on this. As I said, some of these will be of late for the continue onto my channel anyway, but I'm hoping in saying this that you're actually understanding some of this and actually enjoying these. So as this is titled, this will be broken down into 4 parts to gain that better understanding, and hopefully with me as your guide or what have you will be easier to navigate through to what I am about to share with you all today. So the parts are as follows for the broken down into for these 4 parts is 1 is observing general characteristics, part 2 will be scouring the internet, part 3 will be confronting your misconceptions, and lastly part 4 consulting people you may know. So let's begin this, shall we? Part 1 is observing the general characteristics. Number 1, think about how you react to the social cues on an everyday life, everything around you. As we know, autistic people have trouble understanding subtle social cues, right? Not all, but some. Each autistic will be vary from person to person of their characteristic traits, signs and symptoms and what have you. So as I said before, one of my pre-warning or what have you, just to bear in mind that every autistic that you meet will be different. So don't forever assume just because you may have heard or seen me in the flesh or just on videos and that they'll be the same. They will be different because there is a whole host of different autism spectrum disorders, or shall we say autism spectrum conditions. So as I'm saying here though, this can make a variety of social situations difficult. However, when it comes down to the misunderstandings of subtle social cues or some form of body languages or what have you that autistic people come to deal with their hands of dealing with people on an everyday basis depending on their environments, right? Sometimes for some of us, also for some of the social situations that can be difficult for many of us autistic is maybe we have troubles making friends, getting along with our co-workers at work, or even some of the students in our classroom that we're dealing with. So consider if you're experiencing things like, example, having trouble understanding how another person is feeling, example wise, wondering if they are too sleepy to talk or not, being told that your behavior was inappropriate, awkward, strange or impolite. As we know, basically some of us autistic may be looking like that we're awkward or socially awkward or what have you, and we don't mean to be the way we are, but if you give us some guidance and support as well as love and everything else, I'm sure you'll be amazed to what we can do for you guys. So another one is not realizing that someone is bored or talking and wants to do something else, frequently feeling mystified by other people's behavior, having trouble making eye contact with others. Again, this traits or characteristics, as again I said, I can't stress it enough, will vary from person to person, and some may show these and some may not show them at all. Some may at a certain age in their life also may show the kind of trait and characteristic. Again, you just need to keep a low down on keeping an eye out for these signs and symptoms as well as these traits or characteristics that your child is showing. 2, ask yourself if you have trouble understanding other people's thoughts. While autistic people may feel empathy and care for others, which obviously it's true, many people think that us autistics are selfish, but we're not. We are actually empathic people, and I have clearly shared some of this in one of my videos about it, which hopefully maybe I can link it up later on today in the podcast. So this is known for cognitive empathy, which means the ability to figure out what other people are thinking based on social cues such as the tone of voice, body language or facial expression is usually impaired. Autistic people often struggle with figuring out the subtleties of others, and this can then lead to the misunderstandings and arguments and disagreements between their peers. They usually rely on other people to be clear with them, as a well-known fact, because obviously without telling us, how are we supposed to know what we can do to actually fix the problem or what have you that we're doing wrong? Again, as a little friendly tip here, just don't forever assume also that you think that one thing will work for you versus what may work for us, and vice versa, what may work for you may not work for us. So if you've got a solution that will be of help sort of thing, we may be open, try it and what have you. Again, it's all about being patient and what have you. Autistic people also basically, in saying this, may have trouble figuring out what someone's other opinion on something is. Autistic people may not always pick up on the non-verbal hints, so detecting sarcasm and lies can be really difficult because autistic people may not realize when someone's thoughts are different from what they are actually verbalizing. Sometimes some people may trick us and actually say what they're not meaning or doing, and then they might do something that was said in the first place that will cause that confusion again and that disagreement. So it's again all about communication and what have you, I believe. In some extreme cases, not all, autistic people have extreme difficulty with social imagination and can't comprehend that other people have ideas that differ from theirs, which this term is known as theory of the mind, which again I have clearly mentioned about this in one of my video series, so I'll link again either later today on my podcast. 3. Consider your responses to unexpected events. Autistic people often rely on familiar routines to feel stable and secure. Scheduled changes in routine, unfamiliar new events, and sudden changes in plans can be upsetting to autistic people. If anything changes in their routine or schedule, then it wreaks havoc for them. Some or many autistics I have spoken to don't like change, and that they do everything they can to still try and find a way to control some things while they can do this. If you're autistic, you may experience things like feeling upset, frightened, or angry about sudden changes in your everyday schedule, forgetting to do important things like eating or taking your medication without a schedule to help and guide you, panicking if things don't happen when they're supposed to. 4. Watch yourself to see if you stun. Or self-stimulatory behavior is much like fidgeting, and it's a type of repetitive movement done for self-calming, focusing, expressing emotions, communication, and coping with difficult situations. I have clearly made a huge listings on this, which again I'll link in either this podcast or later today I'll share this out for you when I come into the series. While everyone stims, it's especially important and frequent for autistic people to do so. If you haven't been diagnosed yet, your stims may be on the more subtle side. You may have also unlearned certain stims from childhood if your stimming was criticized, such as flapping or clapping hands, rocking, hugging yourself tightly, squeezing your hands, or piling heavy blankets on yourself, tapping toes, pencils, fingers, venture, pushing into things for fun, playing with your hair, pacing, spinning or jumping, looking at bright lights, intense colors or moving gifts, singing, humming or listening to a song on repeat, smelling soaps or perfume. Again, I have done this somewhere based on this stimming, which I'll do this more later today. 5. Identify any sensory issues. Many autistic people have sensory processing disorders known as also sensory integration disorders, which means that the brain is overly sensitive or not sensitive enough to certain sensory input. You might find that some of your senses are amplified while others might be dulled. Here are some clear examples. In the 5 classic senses, such as the following: sight, becoming overwhelmed by bright colors or moving objects, not noticing things like roadside, attraction to the sight of hustle and bustle. Hearing, covering your ears or hiding from loud noises such as vacuum cleaners and or crowd places, not noticing when people are talking to you, missing things that people may say. Smell, feeling disturbed or nauseated by smells that don't bother others, not noticing important smells such as Vaseline, or shall I say gasoline, loving the strong scents and buying the strongest smelling soaps and food available. Taste, preferring to eat only bland or kid-like foods, eating extremely spicy and flavorful food while disliking anything that is bland or disliking trying new food. Touch, being bothered by certain fabrics or clothes tags, not noticing when people touch you lightly or you are injured, or constantly running through your hair, hand through your hair on anything, along anything. Vestibular, getting dizzy or sick in cars or on swing sets, or constantly running around and climbing on things. Proprioceptive would be constantly feeling uncomfortable sensations in your bones and or organs, bumping into things, or not noticing when you are hungry or tired. 6. Consider whether you're experiencing meltdowns or shutdowns. Again, this is a variation of what meltdowns and shutdowns are. So again, I clearly talked about this in one of my playlists, which I'll link either in the description below of this podcast, or again, you might have to sit tight while I bring out the series later today on my podcast. Meltdowns. A fight or flight or freeze reaction might be mistaken for tantrums in childhood, are explosions of emotion that occur when autistic people can no longer keep the stress that is bottled up inside them. Shutdowns, however, are similar in cause, but the autistic person instead becomes passive and may lose skills such as speaking. You may view yourself as sensitive, hot-tempered or immature. 7. Think about your executive function. Executive function is the ability to stay organized, manage time, and transition smoothly. Autistic people often struggle with this skill and may need to use special strategies such as rigid schedules in order to adapt. Symptoms of executive dysfunction may include not remembering things such as your homework assignments, conversations, forgetting to do self-care activities, eating, bathing, brushing your hair or teeth, losing things, procrastinating and struggling with time management, having difficulty starting a task and switching gears, struggling to keep your living space clean. 8. Consider your passions. Autistic people often have intense and unusual passions which are called special interests. Examples include fire trucks, dogs, quantum physics, autism, a favorite TV show, and writing fiction. Special interests are notable, and the intensity of finding a new special interest can feel like they're falling in love with you. Here are some signs that your passion is stronger than what non-autistics may experience. Talking about your special interests for long periods of time or wanting to share it with others. Being able to concentrate on your passion for hours, losing track of time. Organizing information for fun such as your charts, tables and spreadsheets. Being able to write, say, long and detailed explanations of nuances of your interests, all off the top of your head, perhaps even quoting passages. Feeling excitement and bliss from enjoying your interests, correcting people who are knowledgeable about the subject, being wary of talking about your interest for fear that you'll annoy. Number 9 is think about how easy it is for you to talk and process speech. Autism is often associated with difficulties related to spoken language, reading body cues, and body language, as I clearly mentioned earlier, the degree of which greatly vary from person to person. If you're autistic, you may experience things such as learning to speak later in life or not at all, difficulty speaking or losing the ability to speak when overwhelmed, word finding problems, long pauses in conversation show you can think, avoiding difficult conversations because you aren't sure you can express yourself in your own way, struggling to understand speech when the acoustics are different, such as in the auditorium or from a movie without subtitles, not remembering spoken information, especially longer lists, needing extra time to process speech, example, not reacting in time to comments like catch. 10. Notice literal thinking. While autistic people are capable of abstract thought, they tend to think or be known as literal thinkers by nature. Sometimes this is very subtle, especially when the autistic person has developed work around and or their loved ones show understanding. Here are some ways literal thinking can present in itself. Not catching sarcasm or exaggeration or being confused when others are not. Misunderstanding figurative language, such as thinking wrap it up means wrap up the package when the speaker meant I want to finish up. Not picking up on a subtext such as when I don't know if I have enough money actually means please pay for my food. Making literal jokes for the amusement of others, such as slapping the pavement when told it's time to hit the road. 11. Examine your appearance. One study has found that autistic children have distinct facial characteristics: broad upper face, big wide set eyes, a short nose, cheeks area, and a wide mouth, and what the words somewhat of a baby face. You may look younger than your age or to be told that you look attractive or adorable. Not every autistic people or child has each of these facial features, again, will vary from person to person. You may only have a few. Unusual airways, double branching of the bronchi were also found in autistic people. The autistic people's lungs were completely typical until the double branching at the end of the tubes. Part 2, scouring the internet. Number 1, search the autism quizzes online. Quizzes such as the AQ and the RAADS can help give you a sense of it if you're on the spectrum. They are not a substitute for a professional diagnosis, so don't forever, use that as a guide only for now and then go to the docs for a formal diagnosis. It can be a useful tool just to be among. Some, however, have made professional questionnaires available online. But as I said before, as a tip, keep in mind that online quizzes aren't just the real diagnostic tool. They're there to help you figure out whether it's worth making an appointment to investigate further about if you do have autism or anything in general. Keep in mind that even if your experiences are unusual, it doesn't mean you're definitely autistic. There could be something else going on with you. 2. Turn to autism-friendly organisations. A truly autism-friendly organisation is usually run by partially or completely by autistic people, such as Autistic Self-Advocacy Network and the Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network. These organisations provide a much clearer view of autism than organisations run exclusively by parents or family members do. Autistic people best understand their own lives and can offer the more insights for you. Avoid toxic and negative autism organisations. Some autism-related groups say terrible things about autistic people and may push pseudoscience. Autism Speaks is one of them, as I clearly mentioned, which I'm trying to stay well away from speaking more of it, just in case I'm triggering any of the autistic listeners out here. Is a prominent example of an organisation that uses disaster rhetoric. Look for organisations that provide a more balanced point of view and empower autistic voices instead of excluding them. 3. Read the work of autistic writers. Many autistic people love the blogs out there where they can communicate freely. Many bloggers will discuss signs of autism and offer advice for people who are questioning whether they are on the spectrum or not. 4. Turn to social networking. Many autistic people can be found in hashtags such as #ActuallyAutistic and #AskingAutistics. In general, the autistic community is very welcoming to people who are wondering if they are autistic or not, or are those who are self-diagnosed. Again, this will vary because obviously I have had a bit of experience with some autistic groups and community groups in general via through Twitter and Facebook. Some are friendly, some are not. It's just a matter of, again, as I said, as a quick tip, is just to do your research and see what fits for you, and hopefully with some of the autistic groups will be supportive to you and your loved one if you've got one that is actually autistic as well, so they can point you in the right direction. 5. Start researching therapies. Some of the therapies do autistic people, sometimes they do. Any of the therapies sound like they would help you. Stick with therapies that has scientific backing. Remember that every autistic person is different. A therapy type that is useful for someone else may not be useful to you, and a therapy that someone else may find unhelpful may be of help to you. But as a note, be careful. Scammers often target autistics and their families with fake therapies that may waste your money or even cause harm. Some therapists, notably ABA, may involve cruel methods or goals that focus on training you to act normal, quote unquote, instead of helping you to be healthy and happy. 6. Research similar conditions. Many autistic people have co-occurring conditions that can benefit from the treatment. It's also possible to mistake another condition for autism. Autism can come with sensory processing disorders, anxiety disorders, depression, epilepsy, gastrointestinal issues, ADHD, sleep disorder, and so much more of any other conditions that I have missed. Autism can be confused with conditions like sensory processing disorder, ADHD, social anxiety, schizoid personality disorder, complex PTSD, reactive attachment disorder, selective mutism, and many hosts of others. Part 3. Confronting your misconceptions. 1. Keep in mind that autism is inborn and lifelong. As I said, autism is mostly or completely genetic, and it began in the womb of your mummy. Although behavioral signs don't become noticeable until the toddler years or later. People are born autistic and will always be autistic. However, this is nothing to be afraid of. Autistic people's lives can improve with the right support and networks around them, and it's possible for autistic adults to lead happy, fulfilling lives. The most popular myth about autism causes is that vaccines causes autism, which again is a myth, which has been disproven by over a lot of studies. This hoax was engineered by a single researcher who faked data and was hiding financial conflicts of interest. This work has been thoroughly disproven since, and he has lost his license for malpractice. Reported rates of autism aren't increasing because more autistic people are being born. Experts are becoming better at identifying autism, especially in girls and people of color who have been historically overlooked. Autistic children become autistic adults. Stories of who recover from autism either feature people who have learned to hide their autistic traits and may suffer mental health problems as a result, or who were never autistic in the first place. 2. Realize that autistic people are not automatically devoid of empathy. As I said before, basically, autistic people may struggle with the cognitive parts of empathy whilst being deeply caring and kind to others. While autistics may not understand someone's feelings, they generally experience average amounts of emotional empathy and above average amounts of distress when they see someone who is upset. Autistic people may have a strong desire to help people, especially through the concrete means such as organizing and giving them items they need. Some autistic people, for example, may offer quickly tissues and a comfort object to see if anyone is crying. Some autistic people may experience intense affective emotional empathy, sometimes to the point that it is painful for them. Experiences with empathy may vary with presence of alexithymia, a condition that impacts someone's emotional understanding. Did you know many autistic people's experience with empathy can be summed up as, I may not understand what you're thinking, but I care deeply. I can't bear the sight of seeing you upset. 3. Don't assume that autistic people are lazy or intentionally rude. Autistic people have to try harder to conform to many social expectations of being polite. Sometimes they may fail. They may realize it and apologize, or need someone to tell them that they missed their mark. Negative assumptions are the fault for the person who makes them, not the autistic person. Rather than thinking outside the box, autistic people do not see the box at all. Thus, they may not understand what is expected in social situations. This can result in a lot of guesswork for them. Some everyday situations can be uncomfortable, overwhelming for autistic people. This can then make socializing more difficult. In this case, it's not any autistic person who needs to change, but the environment themselves, so they can transition slightly. 4. Realize that autism is an explanation, not an excuse for inappropriate behaviors. Most times when autism is brought up after a disagreement, it's an explanation for the autistic person's behavior, not an attempt to escape the consequence. For example, an autistic person might say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to imply that you're unintelligent. Sometimes I struggle finding words that match what I really think. I think highly of you, my words didn't match my thoughts. Usually people who complain about autistic people using it as an excuse to either meet one bad person or are upset about autistic people showing signs of their disability. This isn't helpful or kind at all. Again, this means you'll need to be patient with autistic, because obviously I'm like this at the moment. I can vouch for the step that I just said above. I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm trying to, like I say, educate and advocate to you all while I'm navigating my life through autism, and living with autism can be difficult, as it is with me as an autistic. So therefore it's just a matter of being with the right people that are compassionate, understanding and empathetic enough with me to make life easier for me. 5. Don't believe the myths about autism and violence. While media speculation has sometimes applied violent or harmful behaviors on autism, the reality is that the large majority of autistic people are non-violent. In fact, an autism diagnosis is associated with reduced violent behaviors in childhood and or adult years. When autistic children do lash out, it's usually in reaction to provocation. They are less likely to initiate violence than non-autistic children are. The average autistic person is very unlikely to hurt anyone and probably would be very upset if they accidentally did so. 6. Rid yourself of the idea that something wrong with stimming. Stimming is a natural mechanism for us autistic that helps with us to be self-calm, helps us to concentrate, prevents any meltdown and expression of our feelings. Preventing someone from stimming is damaging and wrong. There are only a few possible instances in which a stim is a bad idea. It could cause bodily harm or pain, such as headbanging, biting oneself, or hurting oneself are all the bad ones. These can be replaced by a harmless stim, such as handshaking or some chewy bracelets that are available. It violates someone's other personal space. For example, playing with someone else's hair without their permission is a bad idea. Autistic or not, people need to respect other person's personal space. It prevents people from moving. It's good to be quiet in places where people work, such as schools, offices, and libraries. If people are trying to focus, it's good to stim subtly or go to a place where it's quiet when it's deemed not necessary. 7. Recognize that people who catastrophize about autism are wrong. Autism isn't a disease, not a burden, and not a life-destroying disorder. Many autistic people are capable of living with productive and happy lives. Autistic people have written books, founded organizations, run nationwide or worldwide events, and improved the world in many different ways. Even those who can't live on their own or work can still improve their world through their kindness and love. Some organizations use doom and gloom gear tactics as a way to raise more money. Don't let this fool you, however. 8. Stop seeing autism as a puzzle to be solved. Autistic people are already complete. They add diversity and meaningful perspectives to the world. There is nothing wrong with who they are. Part 4. Consulting people you know. 1. Ask your autistic friends about it. If you have no autistic friends, go find some and come back to me. Explain that you think you may be autistic and that you're wondering if they've observed any signs of autism in you. They may ask you questions to better understand your experiences. 2. Ask your parents or guardians about your developmental milestones. Explain that you've been curious about your early childhood and when you met different developmental milestones. It's normal for autistic children to hit the milestones later or out of order. See if you have any videos from your child that you could watch. Look for stimming and other signs of autism in children. Consider like childhood and milestones too, learning to swim or ride a boat, cook and clean a bathroom, do laundry and drive. 3. Show a close friend or family member an article on signs of autism, such maybe WikiHow or maybe stuff from the ASAN group or anybody for that matter. Explain that when you read it, it reminded you of yourself. Ask if they also see any similarities. They may point out some things that you didn't realize about yourself. Keep in mind that no one understands what's going on inside your head. They don't see all the adjustments you make to appear more normal. Others might not realize that your brain works differently. Some autistic people can make friends and interact with people without anyone realizing it that they are autistic. 4. Talk to your family once you feel that you are ready to open up. Consider seeing a specialist to get diagnosed. Many health insurance plans will cover various therapies such as speech, occupational and sensory integration therapy. A good therapist can help you improve your skills to best adapt to a neurotypical world. A tip here is remember that you're a positive, important person, whether you are autistic or not. Autism and personhood are mutually exclusive. Warnings here: don't consult anti-autism organizations as I mentioned earlier. These websites are often inaccurate and best anti-humanitarian at worst. In general, be critical of websites that press for cures, trumpet person-first language, bemoan ruined families, or paint autism as the enemy. These are neither kind or accurate. This quickly ends based on how to recognize autism in yourself. Stay tuned for more of this autism series of diagnosing versus self-diagnosing, and I'll be back with you shortly. Also, where to find me? This again will be listed in the socials, but just to tell you right now is Facebook is my SB.Answers. My Twitter again will be SB Answers with both capital A. Spotify obviously is SB Answers, which is capital A, capital A. YouTube is SB Answers, again capital A. Patreon is my crowdfunding page right now. You can find me on patreon.com, SB Answers basically. And for those of you who don't know what Patreon is, today for those who are listening that are new, I have this set up for funding for future projects like this one of my podcast versus my merch that I've been designing, which I'll get more briefly soon about my merch update, or even in this podcast right now as I'm addressing this to you guys, is that it's like a crowdfunding page or funding page for creators like me, or content creators, music creators, whoever it may be. They're seeking out funding to support themselves in a way of maybe say they need extra equipment for their cameras versus maybe their radio equipment if they were doing something similar like I am doing today, or covering their rent, travel costs, what have you. And in saying this, also basically for the merch, you'll see me basically maybe wearing it once in a while on my YouTube channel, as well as maybe, you know, out and about in public. And so in saying this, my merch site is spreadshirt.com life-n-n-sb. And another one you can find me on my social is for those who haven't and I like to read instead of watching or what have you as an alternative for you guys, is lifeofansbweb.wordpress.com. well. So this wraps up everything. I want to thank you all for listening right now. Follow me on the socials that were listed below. Subscribe, share this podcast to friends and family. You know, if you want to, feel free to become a Patreon to support this future project as well as many others that are in the works as of this time. Feel free to, you know, donate big or small with me and this journey of it. And also my merch obviously will cover the cost of this as well. So feel free to, you know, donate big or small with me and the journey of it. And also my merch obviously will cover the cost of this as well. So I'll catch you all again on the other side. SB signing out for now, and bye.